What's up guys, it's Danny, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 2019 MacBook Pro, which right here. This is a Space Gray model. It looks pretty sick. I'm going to be reviewing this today and seeing how good it is in 2021. Does it keep up? How well does it do? And just the other common stuff. I'm going to be reviewing the trackpad, the performance, everything, the keyboard, everything you can imagine in this laptop. So it's going to be a fun day, so without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to go first into the design. And also, just ignore this, just ignore the tape. The sign is like this. I don't know how to say it. It's like a little curved chassis. It's like you go here and then just curves and straight over here. Looks pretty good. So you have your two USB-C ports right here, Thunderbolt ports. You got your hinge to open the thing with the laptop right there. Then going around, you got nothing there. And then you got your headphone jack, which is pretty good. 3.5 millimeters headphone jack. Then you got your two fans, which are right here and over there, which is pretty cool. And the design, I mean, it looks pretty sick. It's the classic one. I kind of like it. The redesign I really want is like on the front of the display with the hopefully they can make the bezels a little bit tinier and push it more up to the edges like the 16-inch MacBook Pro. But I mean, it still is pretty good. Like the top bezel doesn't really matter for me. I'm mostly looking down at the screen, so it doesn't really matter to me that much. But for some people, it is a little bit too big. For me, I feel it's just fine. And how about the keyboard? How good is it? Well, I think it's a second generation butterfly keyboard. Well, I'm pretty sure it's third. I'm pretty sure it's second. So it doesn't have the Magic keyboard that came in the 2020 model. I'm pretty sure, but still, it's a butterfly mechanism, and it's pretty good. It's kind of mushy, so it doesn't feel that good. But I mean, I kind of got used to it, so it doesn't really matter for me. Just check out how it just sounds. So yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, for me, just for key travel, I mean, it's good. You got a limited key travel. I mean, less than 1 millimeter. So for me, it's kind of fine for me typing on it. It doesn't feel that over or really bad, but still, it is pretty good. And while we were at the keyboard, we have a Touch ID home button, which is pretty good. So you log into your device, you go to Touch ID, and boom, Touch ID logs you in. It's pretty fast. I'm pretty sure this is second generation Touch ID, which is pretty good. And actually, it's about the size of a home button. So Apple didn't spend too much money on that, which is pretty good. Then there is the touch bar. For me, I gotta say it is pretty good. Not that bad. I actually like it because like when I'm editing in iMovie, you actually get some shortcuts with it and other optimized apps that have that supports the touch bar. Like in Safari, you got your tabs open right there, which is pretty good, and I like it. You can also customize the touch bar to suit your needs and the customized touch bar in settings. So it's pretty good. But I mean, still. I mean, some people like it, some people don't. I mean, it's fine for me. And for the trackpad here, it is pretty big. It's ginormous here, so you have this. It's pretty huge. It's about as big as my hand, I guess. Kind of, let me just look at the laptop. It's pretty big. About as big, like about 90% as big as my hand. So it is pretty massive, and I'm all about the huge trackpad. And it's really good because you can go corner to corner with the mouse, and it's still pretty good. And this is the force touch trackpad. So it clicks at the top and at the bottom. So it's pretty good. It's like a second generation touch. It's like a iPhone SE touch touch home button. So it clicks pretty good and it feels pretty nice, and it actually works really well. And so yeah, it's the keyboard, the touch ID home button. So it's pretty good. We're gonna go on to the performance now. So how is the performance? Well, as there's the Intel model. It is a Core i5. Really quickly, let me just check here. And so it is a 1.4 gigahertz quad-core Intel Core i5 with 16 GB of LPDDR3 RAM, Intel Iris Plus graphics, and yeah, and for some reason we're not getting macOS Big Sur on this because my dad, this laptop is for my dad's work, and for some reason they don't let him update to Big Sur, so this is on the macOS Catalina. And so like the performance here is pretty good. I haven't had any really thermal throttling. I mean, some people have, but me personally, I haven't really had any. So for me, it's not that big of a deal. But still, for some people, it is a big deal. But for me, it's not that much. It's not a big deal. But like when you're video editing, this thing does stutter a lot. Even though it has the Intel Iris Plus graphics, it still stutters a lot. I mean, like a lot. I mean, it's like for simple 4K footage from an iPhone 8 or iPhone SE, this thing stutters a lot. Like once you start editing overlays and clips like that, it starts stuttering like crazy. It drops frames, so I'm not really like it that much, but still, I mean, I think it's for performance, just everyday watching videos, it does not spin up the fans that much, even though it has dual fans. like I showed before. This thing does really fine. The one thing though is that like this thing thermal throttles a lot, like NVIDIA thing I said before, but still it is pretty good. Performance is a decent, I guess it's good B, a solid B. I mean, it's not the best. It sure spins up the fans. Once you're downloading stuff, it actually spins up the fans. So performance is a solid B, so not that bad. So what about the display? How good is it? Well, the MacBook Pro has a Retina display. It's a 256 by 1600, which is pretty sharp. It's like above 1440p, and this thing does support 4K video on Safari and YouTube, so it's pretty good. And then and the display is pretty good. It is 60 Hz, not 120 Hz, which is not that bad. And the max brightness is 500 nits. And 500 nits on the machine like this, I mean, sure. I mean, it's okay. So like for me, like 500 nits, if you have like a small reduced screen, it looks really bright. The bigger the screen is, the lesser brightness it gets, because it's a big screen and only for 500 nits. It's not that bright, but for me, outdoors, it's plenty bright. It's viewable. It has great colors. It has peep-through color gamut, which is good. Also supports True Tone. So what is True Tone? True Tone is like what you have on iPads and iPhones, which is it changes the color of the screen to the ambient mode you are. So let's say you're in a room that has yellow light, it'll change the screen to a yellow lighting. Let's say you're like on, let's say it's pretty cold, like it has like the outdoor sky is, let's say like pretty sunny, it'll change it to like the color temperature of that. So that's how it is. I mean, I personally take it off. I turn it off because I don't like it while editing, but I mean it's still there if you want it. And then like I actually would have wanted to have 600 nits, because I mean with those extra 600 nits, that'd be pretty good for a display that's 13.3 inches. I would actually want 600, because like for 500, I mean it feels fine, it's good. But like on an iPad where the screen is more tiny, it gets brighter than this. So 600 nits would be cool on the M2 chip, which would be pretty sick. But I mean for 500, it's well enough for the outdoor visibility. It is pretty good. What about the battery life? Well, the battery life here, it is, Apple claims 10 hours, I'm pretty sure. They claim 11 hours with a 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is about $1,000. That's about $800 more expensive than this 13-inch MacBook Pro. But I mean, the battery life is pretty good. Just sitting here, just doing the max of great standby time, so that's not a problem. But like, battery life is pretty good. My dad mostly has it about 400 nits, 300 nits, so I mean, it's pretty good. We always have it on dark mode, so not that big of a deal, but still, it works. The battery life is decent. For video editing though, it's trash. It's like really trash. It's super trash. It's not that good. Turbo, just editing iMovie, not Final Cut, iMovie, it takes away 40% in about 30 minutes, 50%, which is terrible. I just have to keep it plugged in. And also I did just blow out the fans so I can have more coolness, because this thing thermals a lot. But I mean, still, it's pretty good. The battery life is decent. I mean, just sitting here, I just lost 3% in like 20 minutes of video shooting with max brightness, of course, because I want at max brightness. So battery life, it's going to be probably a good 11, 10 hours, which is going to be pretty good for most people. For my dad and me, it works fairly well. So battery life is not a huge problem. And what about video editing? Well, video editing for me, I didn't really want to have this topic because I already talked about it before, but I'm going to do it anyway. So for video editing, it does the job. If you just did not edit and just have like the actual thing just sitting there, it'll do fine. But for when you actually go color grading, effects, stuff like that, then it starts stuttering a lot, drops tons of frames. So video editing is like a C, because it's bad, but it's decent. I mean, not the best. I'm definitely give this a C, because it's just terrible. The fans spin like crazy. It takes at least 5 minutes to keep the fans to quiet down after you finish exporting. Export takes forever. A 12-minute clip took me 25 minutes to export 4K. I had my effects, everything, so it takes a pretty well time. But I'm not in a rush to get my videos out, so I can just go in my room, read, do exercise, come back, and this thing was still actually still processing, so it takes a good while. So it's definitely a C for editing. Not that happy here, so yeah. So the speakers are pretty good. This is one of the most powerful points of the speakers. I do not have magnet paper, which would be pretty cool, but from what I've seen is that you have 2 speakers right here, and you got another one over here, so that's pretty good. And you get stereo speakers, which sound amazing here. Let me just show you how they sound.
Now, I'd like to see the other colorways, which are apparently matte. Maybe that would change my mind, but yeah. Why did you not send me a matte one? That's what I want to know. You know what this reminds me of? This phone, it looks a lot like Galaxy S8. Remember that phone? That was one of the simplest, cleanest, safest designs in any phone. It's actually a good thing. I think that was a pretty well like.
So as you heard there, they did pretty good. They did pretty fairly good. I actually like them a lot. The bass level sounds pretty good. Once that they're like max volume, the bass starts getting a little bit too overpowering. But for like the daily use, I mean, it feels pretty good. Once you're like at 70-80%, it's pretty good. As you heard there, I love it. If you didn't hear that, guys, because like this microphone I have is tiny, absolutely tiny. But I'm still, it works really well. Speakers are pretty good, solid B+ there. It's awesome. And overall, it's just a pretty good machine. I should definitely keep, unless you're in a big hurry for the M1 chip and you need it now. You should definitely upgrade. But apart from that, I should definitely keep this until like the M1X or the M2 chip. See, here's the thing with the M1. Still like many non-optimized apps are still struggling to get them. So as you're gonna be practically beta testing tons of apps. But for me, you're gonna be testing if you use Beta, you're gonna have to there's Beta Premiere Pro. DaVinci Resolve also have a beta version, and Photoshop, the optimized version for Photoshop is coming out this year. So I'm not even sure it's out. I'm pretty sure it's out by now, but it's still there's tons of apps that need to be optimized for the M1. So they're practically gonna be beta testing. And once Apple learns from the mistakes on the M1, they can improve that on the M2 chip. So it's kind of like a little what's a good call it, a little beta testing there. It's like you're like in a danger zone. So I would actually kind of keep this MacBook unless you're in a big hurry, and then buy the M1X or the M2 chip, because you're gonna practically be beta testing tons of apps, and that's gonna be if you can live with that, then sure, go get it by all means. It's gonna be awesome. But I wouldn't really that much. I'll actually really keep this. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching my review of this Intel MacBook Pro. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.